You're not coming on vacation. It's for real family. That's what my stepmother told me, without a hint of hesitation about a trip they were planning to my lake house. Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm 26, and this story, well, it's about the moment I stopped letting people walk all over me and finally locked the door behind them. Literally. Let's rewind. It was early spring, and I had just 10 days left before my long-awaited vacation. I'd been dreaming about this for months. 10 peaceful days at the lake house I inherited from my great-aunt Eleanor. That home, nestled right on the water, about 6 hours north of my apartment, had always been my happy place. The kind of spot where time slows down, stress melts away, and the only deadline is sunset over the water. When I was little, my parents and I would spend entire summers there, bonfires, fishing, chasing fireflies. That was before everything changed. I was 16 when Mom passed. Cancer. It happened fast, and suddenly, it was just Dad and me, sitting across from each other at a quiet dinner table, trying to figure out how to live with the silence. A year later, Dad met Linda at work. She was a widow with 2 grown daughters, Emily and Chloe, both in college, both older than me. When he married her, they all moved into our house. At first, I tried to be welcoming. Really, I did. We were polite, civil. But it always felt like I was visiting their home, not living in mine. What hurt the most was watching Dad slowly fade out of my world and into theirs. He went to their events, cheered them on, decorated the house with their photos. I became an afterthought. When I left for college out of state, I felt relief. I didn't come home much, and when I did, the house felt unfamiliar. Linda had redecorated everything, and those polite comments never stopped. "Oh, Rachel, you're home again? I didn't expect you this weekend." Subtle digs that chipped away at me. After graduation, I moved back in temporarily to save for an apartment. It was miserable. Linda made dinner for 4 people, when there were 5 of us. She'd plan family outings and forget to mention them to me. Dad somehow noticed none of it, or worse, pretended not to. Eventually, I saved enough to rent a small 1-bedroom and get out. That's when I grew close to Great Aunt Eleanor, my mom's aunt. She was in her 80s and lived alone in the lake house. I'd visit every few weeks, bring groceries, and just sit with her, soaking in her stories and sass. She had more spirit at 90 than most people half her age. When Eleanor passed at 92, I planned her entire funeral. Dad and Linda showed up, of course, but all they talked about was the house. 1 week later, I got the call. Aunt Eleanor had left me everything, the house, and a good chunk of money. "I think I'll sell it," I told Dad at dinner. "Buy something closer to work." "Don't be hasty," Linda cut in before Dad could speak. "Lake property is a gold mine. You should hold on to it for family vacations." Dad nodded. "Your stepmother's right. It's a good investment." So I kept it. I even gave them a spare key, figuring they might use it a couple times a year. But what started as occasional visits turned into them treating the place like their private resort. Weekends, holidays. Sometimes they brought Emily and Chloe. They never asked. I let it slide. Until one day, everything changed. I'd taken a few days off from work, finally, to spend some alone time at the lake. I drove the 6 hours, heart light with anticipation. I needed a break. But the moment I opened the front door, I knew something was off. Loud music, laughter, the clinking of glasses echoing from the back deck. I stepped outside, and there was Emily. Not just her, but 6 of her friends. Red plastic cups in hand, music blasting, someone cannonballing off the dock like it was their place. "What are you doing here?" Emily asked, clearly annoyed by my presence. My jaw dropped. "Excuse me? This is my house." She scoffed. Well, we're having a party. You're kind of ruining the vibe. That was it. The last straw. After years of being sidelined, of being treated like a guest in my own family, I had finally had enough. I told everyone to pack up and leave. The next day, I got a furious call from Linda. How dare you embarrass Emily? She was just trying to have a good time. I reminded her. It was my house. I hadn't even known they were there. She hung up on me. Weeks went by, silent. Then, out of nowhere, Dad called. Come over for dinner. Linda and I want to talk. I went, hopeful. Maybe they'd realized how they'd treated me. Maybe they wanted to make things right. But instead, Rachel, Linda said, we've decided. You're not coming on the family vacation. To my lake house? I asked, stunned. Yes, she smiled. This vacation is for real family. Linda was sitting on the couch, and this time she didn't bother to get up. Her face wasn't warm or inviting like before. No faux pleasantries, just cold, calculated indifference. Something in my gut twisted. I sat down cautiously, still holding on to that fragile hope that maybe they wanted to help with the trip. Maybe chip in for food or offer to drive separately to ease the load. But then Dad cleared his throat, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. Rachel, he said, his voice unusually strained, we need to talk about the vacation. Okay, I said, forcing a smile. Is something wrong? Linda leaned in, her tone suddenly formal, like she was a manager about to fire someone. We've decided you won't be joining us. I blinked. Wait, what? You're not coming on the trip, she repeated, slower this time, as if she were explaining it to a child. We feel this vacation should be for real family. It's important bonding time for Emily and Chloe with their new fiancés. For a moment, I just sat there, stunned. Linda, it's my house. I've spent the last 2 weeks cleaning it, stocking it, prepping it for you all. She waved a hand dismissively. We appreciate that, but you can use the house some other time. We already have the key. I turned to Dad, desperate for him to step in, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. You're seriously okay with this? I asked him. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. That silence said everything. I stood up slowly. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. You're all planning to take a 10-day vacation in a house that legally belongs to me? One that I maintain and fund, and you're excluding me because I'm not real family? Linda didn't flinch. Now you're getting it. I didn't even respond. I just walked out, heart racing, hands trembling. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just drove back to my apartment in silence, the insult burning deeper with every mile. That night, I didn't sleep. I paced my living room, replaying every word, every smug expression. All the work I'd put in, scrubbing floors, filling the pantry, buying new patio furniture, just to be discarded like I was nothing, like I wasn't even part of the family. But by sunrise, I had a plan. If they didn't want me in my house, then they wouldn't be stepping foot in it either. The very next morning, I called a locksmith and scheduled a full rekeying for the lake house. I wasn't going to scream or beg. I wasn't going to send long, emotional texts. I was going to make it very clear, without a single word, where I stood. And to make sure the house didn't sit empty, I called up a few friends. Lisa, my ride or die since high school, was the first one I called. You still want that lake weekend? I asked. Are you kidding? I've been waiting for you to ask. You might be stepping into some drama, just warning you. Oh, honey, she laughed. You know that makes it more fun. Within 24 hours, I had a full guest list. Lisa was bringing her husband, Mark, along with Jenny and Tom from their church group. I invited Mike and Sarah, the couple I'd met through work, all in, 6 people. enough to make the house feel full and alive. Exactly what I needed. 3 days later, I made the drive back up north. This time, my heart wasn't heavy, it was focused. The locksmith met me just after lunch. In 2 hours, every lock was replaced. I paid him in cash, thanked him, and held the shiny new keys in my hand like they were gold. Because they were. That night I made myself dinner, just me and a glass of red wine on the deck, watching the sun dip below the trees and dance across the lake. It was peaceful. It was mine. The next day, right around noon, I heard it. 2 SUVs and a sedan pulling into the gravel driveway. Car doors slammed. Laughter floated up from below. I peeked out from the upstairs window, watching them unload coolers, beach bags, lawn chairs. Then came the moment of truth. Linda approached the front door, key in hand. She slid it into the lock. It didn't budge. She jiggled it, tried again. Nothing. I waited until the confusion turned to panic, until Dad tried the back door, until Emily pounded on the glass. Then I walked down the stairs, opened the front door just a crack, and looked out through the security chain. "Oh, hi there," I said sweetly. "Can I help you?" Linda's face went crimson. "What did you do to the locks?" "I changed them," I said calmly. "You know, security and all that." "You can't do this," Emily shouted behind her. "Actually," I said, "I can." And I did. Because this house, it belongs to me, and I don't let strangers stay in my home. Linda's face that night wasn't warm, wasn't neutral, it was ice cold. The kind of look you'd expect from someone issuing an eviction notice, not planning a family getaway. I sat down. Same armchair as 3 weeks ago, but this time the air felt heavier, thicker. Something was off, and I knew it before she even opened her mouth. Dad sat beside her, jittery, wringing his hands like he was holding some secret he didn't want to share. "I was thinking about dinner for the first night," I said, pulling out my notebook, trying to hold on to that sliver of hope. "Maybe salmon with dill and lemon? The one you always liked, Dad?" "Rachel," Linda cut in sharply. I paused. "Yeah?" "We need to talk about the vacation." My stomach tightened. "Okay, what's going on?" Linda exhaled, deep and slow, like she was tired of pretending. "We've decided that you're not coming with us." At first, I laughed. I thought it was a joke. "What?" "You're not coming," she repeated, deadpan. "This trip is just for family." The smile slipped off my face. "You're serious?" Linda crossed her legs and folded her hands neatly. "We feel it's important for Emily and Chloe to spend this time with their fiancés. Just the 7 of us." "The 7 of you?" I said, my voice rising. "You mean the 6 of you, plus me. That's the 7. Linda shook her head. We changed our minds. I turned to Dad, desperate for sanity. "You're okay with this?" He couldn't even meet my eyes. "It's my house," I said. "I cleaned it. I stocked the fridge. I bought groceries for 10 days. For you." "You can use it after we're done," Linda said casually, like she was doing me a favor. "We still have the spare key." That's when the rage started to rise. "Are you hearing yourself? You want me to let you stay in my house?" "While I go where, exactly?" Dad finally spoke, voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe it'd be better if you just sat this one out. You know, to keep the peace." "Keep the peace?" I snapped. "You mean make things easier for Linda and her daughters?" "You're being dramatic," Linda said, her tone condescending. "It's not like we're kicking you out." "You literally are." Linda smirked. "You said it, not me." And that was it. 3 weeks of planning, 2 weekends of driving up to the house, over $500 in food, toiletries, bug spray, sunscreen, floating rafts, even new patio furniture. And now? I was being removed like a stain they didn't want on their perfect vacation. I stood up slowly, grabbed my purse, and headed to the door. "Enjoy your trip," I said flatly. "Don't be so dramatic," Linda called after me, her voice thick with false concern. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I drove home gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My blood felt like it was boiling under my skin. My vision blurred from fury, not tears. I wasn't sad. I was done. Done letting them guilt me into silence. Done pretending this was normal. Done with their version of family. I paced my apartment that night, replaying every word. My hands shook with rage as I thought about them lounging in my living room, grilling burgers on my deck, drinking wine from the cabinet I'd stocked, all while pretending I didn't exist. They wanted me excluded? Fine. But they wouldn't get to enjoy it. The next morning, I did what any woman pushed too far would do. I got smart. No angry texts, no screaming phone calls, no drama, just one call to a locksmith. "Can you rekey a whole house?" I asked. "Absolutely," he said. "How soon do you need it done?" "By the end of the week." "Consider it done." That night, I was scrolling through Facebook, minding my business, trying not to stew too hard in my anger, and then I saw it, a post from Emily. "So excited for our family vacation next week. Finally, quality time with the people who really matter, without unnecessary drama or unwelcome guests. Some people just don't know when they're not wanted." My jaw hit the floor, and the comments, even worse. Chloe replied, "Finally, just us." Linda liked it. Dad liked it. That was the final nail in the coffin. They didn't just want me gone. They wanted everyone to know I was never part of them. Well, if they wanted to play games, I could play too. I picked up my phone and called the one person I knew would always be on my side. "Lisa," I said, "remember my aunt's lake house? You still up for a vacation?" "Girl, yes. What's the catch?" "No catch. Just maybe a bit of family drama on the side." Lisa didn't even hesitate. "You had me at drama." By the end of the next day, I had 5 confirmed friends. Lisa and her husband Mark, plus Jenny, Tom, and Mike. All were excited, all were ready, and all were about to help me take back my house. Finally, after nearly 10 minutes of shouting, pounding, and what I can only describe as a full-on driveway meltdown, I heard car doors slamming, engines starting, gravel crunching under tires. And just like that, they were gone. I leaned against the door, heart racing but steady. My hands were calm now, no shaking, no doubt, just a quiet, almost eerie peace. For the first time in years, I had drawn a boundary, and actually held it. I didn't cry. I didn't second-guess myself. I locked the door, walked into the kitchen, and made myself a sandwich like nothing had happened. By 6 p.m., Lisa and the rest of my crew had arrived, buzzing with excitement and disbelief. "You really did it?" she asked as she set her overnight bag by the door. "Changed the locks and everything?" I replied. "You should have seen Linda's face." Mark let out a low whistle. "Bet she wasn't counting on that twist." "Oh, they were livid," I said, pouring glasses of wine. "But they forgot one very important detail. I'm the one with the title to this place, my name, my rules." That night, the house was filled with laughter, the smell of barbecue drifting off the back deck, and the clink of glasses over poker games and stories told under string lights. For the first time in years, this place felt like home again. We swam in the lake during the day, floated for hours on giant inflatable loungers, made s'mores at night, and sat by the fire telling our own twisted family tales. Everyone had one. Everyone had someone who'd crossed a line. "That's the problem with toxic people," Lisa said one night, flipping a marshmallow. "They don't expect you to ever push back. When you do, they act like you're the villain." I nodded. Well, they found out real quick. I'm done being the quiet one. Midway through the trip, I got a text from an unknown number. "You've made your point, can we talk?" I didn't respond. I just blocked the number. The second message came from a different number 2 days later. "We're staying at a motel an hour away. This vacation is ruined. Are you happy?" Was I happy? Honestly, yes. I was surrounded by people who respected me, who were grateful to be here, and who didn't treat me like a third wheel in my own life. The lake house became our little sanctuary for the full 10 days. We grilled, danced, played board games, and watched old movies under the stars. I even let everyone sign a guest journal I'd found in the back closet, something Aunt Eleanor used to do when we were little. "Leave your name and the best thing about this trip," I'd said. Lisa's note read, "The company," and watching Rachel take back what's hers. Boss move. By the time the trip wrapped up, I wasn't just relaxed, I was reborn. As my friends packed up their cars and gave long, warm goodbye hugs, I stood on the porch with a cup of coffee and knew deep in my soul. Something had shifted. I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of being rejected, not of being alone, not of losing people who didn't value me. Later that evening, I found a handwritten letter in the mailbox, folded into thirds with no envelope. The handwriting? Linda's. It was 3 pages of insults dressed as disappointment. She accused me of publicly humiliating the family, disrespecting her authority, and alienating my father. But the final paragraph was the kicker. "Until you apologize and learn how to respect your elders, you are no longer part of this family. Consider yourself removed." I laughed, out loud, alone in the kitchen. It was so theatrical, I half expected her to have signed it Queen of the Lake House. I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. To Linda. Subject: "None, I'm not apologizing. I don't need your approval. I don't want to be part of your version of family. Have a nice life." Then I hit send. I blocked every number, deleted them from social media. The next week, I changed the house security system and installed cameras. I wasn't just locking them out of my lake house. I was locking them out of my life. About a month later, I was leaving the office when I saw Dad leaning against my car. He looked older, drawn, tired. "Rachel, can we talk?" he asked softly. I hesitated. Every instinct told me to walk away, but something in his voice, something vulnerable, stopped me. We went to a diner across the street, ordered coffee, sat in silence. "I'm sorry," he said at last. "I let her push you out. I saw it happening and I said nothing. That's on me." I stirred my coffee slowly. "Why now?" He looked out the window. That trip was miserable. All they did was complain about the food, the motel, the fact that you weren't there. It hit me. We treated you like you didn't matter, and I can't live with that. I didn't respond right away. Part of me wanted to forgive him. Part of me still hurt too much. "I need time," I said quietly. "I'm not saying never, but right now, I'm still healing." He nodded. "Whatever you need." And as we left, I realized I had changed. I wasn't that forgotten girl anymore. I was the woman who knew her worth and protected her peace. And no one was going to take that from me again. We finished our coffee, and when Dad stood up to leave, he looked uncertain, like a man who knew he might never get another shot. "I'd like that," he said softly. "Coffee. Just us." I gave a small nod. "We'll see." We parted ways on the sidewalk, a cool breeze lifting the edge of my jacket as I watched him disappear into the crowd. I didn't cry. I didn't feel relief. What I felt was space. Finally, space between who I used to be and who I was becoming. Later that evening, I sat on the balcony of my apartment with a mug of tea and the Lake House Journal in my lap. I'd brought it home, pages filled with laughter, inside jokes, and sweet memories from the friends who made that summer something sacred. My eyes lingered on Lisa's words, "To the woman who took back her life, one lock at a time. Thank you for reminding me what strength looks like." That hit hard. Not because it flattered me, but because it felt true. Up until now, I'd been moving through life on someone else's terms, Dad's silence, Linda's manipulation, Emily and Chloe's entitlement. But I had flipped the script, not out of revenge, but out of respect for myself. 2 days later, I called Sophie, my old friend from college and now a licensed realtor. "Hey," I said, "remember how you offered to help me find a place? You finally ready to stop paying rent and invest in yourself?" "Yep, and I've got a new idea too. I want to rent out the lake house, short-term, vacation stays only." Sophie laughed. "Girl, that lakefront, you'll have a waitlist by July." And just like that, things began to shift. I wasn't just healing, I was building. Within a week, Sophie had sent me a dozen listings for condos in the city. I toured 3, fell in love with one, a cozy 2-bedroom with big windows and just enough space for a home office, and made an offer the same day. Thanks to Aunt Eleanor's inheritance, my down payment was already in place. I closed on the condo less than a month later. Meanwhile, the lake house? Sophie was right. We listed it on a vacation rental site, and within 72 hours, the summer was fully booked. 3 families, 2 couples, a writer looking for solitude in September. The income would more than cover my new mortgage and still leave a cushion for savings. I replaced the last of the old bedding, hired a cleaning service between guests, and installed smart locks with unique codes for every stay. The lake house was now mine, not just in name, but in energy. No more ghost of Linda's perfume on the couch pillows. No more Emily's towels left damp on the deck rail. No more pretending I wasn't the owner. It was all me now. Sometime in early fall, I got a text from Lisa. "Missing that lake sunset. When are we going back?" I smiled as I read it, and this time the answer was simple. "Whenever we want. It's ours now." We picked a weekend in October, just the 2 of us. It wasn't hot enough for swimming, but we bundled up in flannel, drank hot cider by the fire, and watched the leaves burn gold and red across the water. That weekend, I realized something. The house hadn't changed. I had. I no longer needed validation. I didn't crave apologies. I didn't care what Linda thought, or whether Emily and Chloe were still sulking about their ruined vacation, because I was done living in the shadows of people who never saw me. Weeks passed, and Dad did reach out a few times, texts, sometimes a call. We met for coffee, maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't exactly warm yet, but it was civil, quiet, neutral. One morning, he asked if I wanted to meet for lunch at the diner near my new condo. "It's your mother's birthday," he said, voice tight. I hesitated, not because I didn't care, but because I knew the day would be heavy. But something told me it was the right kind of hard. We sat in the corner booth where she used to order blueberry pancakes every single time. I didn't cry. Neither did Dad. But we talked about her laugh, about how she would have loved the lake house transformation. "I wish she'd seen you now," Dad said. "She'd be proud," I replied, and I believed it. By the time winter rolled around, I had fully settled into my new place. I'd bought a small Christmas tree, hung some twinkling lights on the balcony, and even hosted a little holiday dinner for friends. My first real chosen family celebration. No passive-aggressive comments, no guilt-tripping, no one pretending I didn't belong, just warmth, laughter, real connection. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like an outsider looking in. I was home, in every sense of the word. When Dad hugged me goodbye that afternoon, I hugged him back, for the first time in what felt like years. It wasn't the same as when I was a little girl. The warmth was cautious, layered with history and hurt. But it was something, a beginning. On the drive home, a realization hit me like a soft breeze turning into clarity. I felt lighter. No more walking on eggshells. No more bracing for Linda's thinly veiled digs or pretending to be okay in a house that had long stopped feeling like home. I didn't have to play that role anymore. That evening, I called my old friend Sophie, now a real estate agent. "Remember when you said you could help me buy a place?" I asked. "Finally ready?" She laughed. "Let's do this." "And one more thing," I added. "Can I rent out the lake house, vacation style?" "Absolutely," she said without hesitation. "Waterfront properties? You'll make great money, especially in the summer." Her words unlocked something in me. For the first time in months, I felt excited about what came next. I wasn't just buying a home, I was claiming one, on my terms. Over the following weeks, I toured condos and bungalows around the city. Sophie helped line up summer renters for the lake house, and by the third showing, I'd found a warm, light-filled two-bedroom that felt like a fresh start. And something else happened. I started to feel happy, genuinely happy, not performative, not smile through it and move on, just grounded. Dad and I met for coffee a couple more times. It was still a bit awkward, but he was trying. And in its own small way, that effort mattered. One night, as I scrolled through real estate listings in my cozy apartment, my phone buzzed. It was Lisa. "Missing the lake house. When are we going back?" I grinned and replied, "Anytime. It's ours now, remember?" That's when it really sank in. This life, this home, this freedom. It was mine, my house, my future, my voice. For the first time since my mother passed, I felt something deep inside settle. I wasn't chasing acceptance anymore. I was building my own belonging, and it felt incredible. Sometimes freedom means locking the door, for good. At some point in life, many of us realize that peace isn't found by keeping everyone happy, it's found by honoring ourselves. Rachel's story is a powerful reminder that even family can overstep boundaries when we don't protect them. For years, she tolerated exclusion, silence, and emotional manipulation, all in the name of keeping the peace. But peace bought at the cost of your dignity isn't peace at all. What makes this story resonate, especially for those of us in midlife, is how it captures a universal truth. You're never too old to reclaim your voice. Whether you're 36 or 66, it's never too late to stop apologizing for existing and start building a life that feels like your own. Rachel didn't scream. She didn't seek revenge. She set boundaries, locked the door, and opened a new one, to healing, to ownership, to joy. True belonging isn't something you're handed. It's something you create. And sometimes, the boldest thing you can do is say, "No more." So if you've been walking on eggshells around people who take you for granted, maybe it's time to change the locks, literally or figuratively, and step into the life you deserve.